Okay, so those of you who don't know it, I'll just try and show you a bit further up. This is my embellishing machine, which is basically a kind of sewing machine, but it doesn't use threads. Okay, if you haven't seen one before, this one's got 12 needles inside this casing. There are 12 really sharp needles. They do come with different numbers of needles. Some come with 5 or 7. Depending on the make and the model. So they're very, very sharp needles, and what they do is they punch the fabric. It's a needle punching machine, or a felting machine, or an embellisher it's called. Mine's a baby lock because I went for a really solid one that I was going to use a lot. You can often buy them second hand. I know a lot of people have contacted me since I showed my embellisher to start with, and they've said, I bought an embellisher, and a lot of people are getting second hand ones, which is fantastic. Often people have them in their cupboards because they don't realise how brilliant they are. So this is it's got, as I say, it's got no threads, but it has got a presser foot, which you must put down. And what is happening here is the machine's going to needle felt these two pieces of fabric together, and we'll see what happens when it does that. Oh, that's gone a bit wonky. So here, look, that's gone a bit wonky, so I'm not very happy with that. And what I can simply do is pull it off, and you can see, can you see the effect that that's having on the fabric there? It's actually punching holes, which is a really nice effect. I have to say, if you wanted to just texturize a piece of fabric, that's a really nice way to do it. In fact, you know, I'd be tempted to turn this over and just texturize the whole thing. But I'm going to put that back on and see if I get it a bit straighter this time. That was a bit wonky. I'm not sure what this is going to do with this piece of scrim, but it'll do something. If nothing else, it's changing the back of the fabric, and it's maybe holding enough of the scrim down so I can stitch into it afterwards. So you can see, let's see if I can make it so you can see that, how that's altered the back of the fabric there. And it pulls the fabric in. Whatever fabric you put under it tends to pull it in, so you have to make sure that you make things bigger. You need to cut your pieces of fabric bigger than you actually intend them to be eventually. So I'm going to just wallop that on there. That's my lacy bit. What I love is how quick this is. It's such a quick machine, and it creates lovely surfaces then for me to stitch into, and it holds the fabrics in place. It does alter whatever fabric you put on, it will alter it. So if you want just a flat fabric left as it is, then don't do this. Okay, so you see how easy that is. It's just lovely. It's created a really nice little surface for me then to add some coloured fabrics onto. And I may or may not embellish those. I'm working on intuition this morning and instinct. I have no idea where I'm going. I am just playing with my fabrics. Okay, so here's my embellishing machine with its little sharp pointy needles just waiting to mash up these fabrics. I've decided not to put all the leaves pinned on because I'm just going to see how big and how small these are going to get and what the effect is going to be. See, look, that's really mashed that down, which is why I cut the leaves bigger to start with. Organzas tend to do this particularly, these sort of very fine chiffony organza type fabrics. So that's actually making it kind of the size I want it to be. But you can see how it's cleared a lot of space that was covered in green is now gone back to being the light colour of the lace. So I will need to add more layers of leaves on. Now obviously also you can see how that's creating a textured surface. So really using the embellisher is kind of, well, horses for courses. If you want it really flat and smooth, don't use an embellisher. Basically, because the embellisher is going to do that. It mashes it, it meshes it, but that adds texture, which I do quite like, and I like it as a contrast to the smoothness of the other piece that I did, which I will show you them all at the end and compare them. So I'm going to carry on with this with a little bit more embellishing. I need some more bits of fabric. I'm just going to add these on little bit by little bit. They're sort of slightly different shades, slightly different textures, and I really quite like the way that's mingling. It's a way of, I'm kind of not controlling it as much because I'm doing this. And I'm working with the fabrics in a different sort of a way. I really quite like that. It's not me saying this is exactly how it's going to look. It's the machine saying, well, actually, I'm going to do this to your fabric. I even got a little bit of linen that I thought I would try. I don't normally use linen, but I thought I might just show you, and you can hear if you listen to it. That's the key. Now that's actually okay. That's not too bad. Sometimes the machine can really labour. If it's linen, I think perhaps sometimes it's if I've got lots and lots of layers on as well. So actually that was okay, and that's giving a nice different sort of shade. And it's quite fun doing this really, because I don't quite know exactly how it's going to turn out, and I'm just kind of making it up as I go along. I think I want a different colour there. I might put a slightly smaller piece of fabric on there. Okay, so you get the idea. I'm going to carry on adding the leaves until I'm finished, and then what I'll need to do is I'm going to stitch those in place, and then I'll put the flowers on in the same fashion. Okay, so this is me set up for free machine embroidery. I've started to put the leaves down, and what I'm liking is how I'm starting to actually fill some of the leaves in with some free machine embroidery. On my first piece that I did, I just tended to do outlines of things, and this is making me feel much more like actually kind of what I call colouring in. So you can use the embellished fabric. I think it's just asking for me to add some more stitching to it in different shades of green. So I'm not just going to outline these, I'm going to actually fill them in as though I'm using a crayon to colour them, you know. And so I'll be using different shades of green, but you can see how easy it is. When you've got the embellished fabrics down, they stay in place, there's nothing pinning, no pins to remove, and I can just do my free machine embroidery really simply and easily, and that's really satisfying. So I'm going to work into this some more, do some more colouring in, as it were, with my threads, my different colours, and then I will get the flower heads on and do the same sort of process. I'll embellish them on, possibly embellish them on. I'm not sure. It's getting a little bit thick. Once you start to do your free machine embroidery into this, it does get a bit thicker, so the embellisher might not be so keen on actually embellishing the flowers on. But we will see. What you could always do is actually, if the flowers are big enough, you could embellish them separately. So you would layer some different fabrics up. A bit like the, I think the Elizabethans did it. They made slips. So they made their flowers separately and then actually embroidered them on by hand. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it kind of makes sense to me. But I'm just going to finish off doing this, and then we'll see, experiment with how I'm going to put the flower heads on.